coming directly from my van, and I'll make that a bit easier for me to see and put my computer so I can see what actually is going on. So as always with a live broadcast, I would welcome you to actually send any questions or anything like that which you may have, and sorry, how do I do this? Any questions or anything like that's my computer now, so I put the computer on so I can see things as and when they come up, because 2 or 3 weeks ago I just did it directly from the telephone, and the problem was when I had it on just from the telephone, I then forgot, because I only see the last 3 that came up, and then they disappeared. So if I didn't read them immediately, there was nothing I could do about it. But if I've got it on the computer, there's a record. I can sort of scroll up and down quite easily. I bet I can scroll up and down quite easily on the telephone as well, but the problem with doing that is I don't actually know how to do it. It's very fiddly with the telephone when it's in a gimbal, and also if you touch the wrong thing, then suddenly you've gone live or something and launched some missile or something like that. Anyway, so today, first of all, actually, one thing which is sort of newsworthy, it's nothing to do with motorhoming, of course, was I thought I might actually talk about the Duke of Edinburgh, who died yesterday, aged 99, would have been 100 in a few weeks' time. But then again, I thought that's something more associated with my history site, so I might actually do it on that one instead. So what I will do is I'll address something which somebody wrote to me at this correspondence, or as correspondence within videos, which is where I actually encourage people to actually send correspondence from, related to 4x4 travel. And the thing with the 4x4 travel is this: should you actually get a 4x4 vehicle, yes or no? And now in this case, it was somebody who said wanted to buy a camper van with a transport possibilities for his motorbike. So what vehicle should he buy? Now there are 1 or 2, and in this year it has been aided by the fact there's a number of companies within the Trigano group which now have camper vans where you've got an electric bed at the back, and the bed will go up and down, and it can give you a huge amount of space with next to nothing to sleep in, or you can have a little bit extra to sleep in and not so much below, depending on what you want. Now I don't actually have a motorbike, and so therefore I don't know how much space they need. I've learned from my own experience with my own bike, a push bike, a pedal bike, is that it never seems to take up far more space than it would warrant. You think it doesn't look very big, but in the end, because of the way the shape of the handlebars and everything, then it just now see with a pedal bike, you can sort of get a foldable one, or you can turn the handlebars around or something like that. Yes, certainly you can do things like that. Don't suppose you can do that with a motorbike. I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I'm assuming you can't. Therefore, there are a number of vans. So I mentioned these ones. There's another one's done by Weinsberg, which is called the Outlaw, Carabos Outlaw, which is a tiny fixed bed above, and there's this huge garage below. I also recently posted a film of a made-to-order camper van by a company called Reisemobil Manufaktur in Germany, and they did one special order on a Renault Master with this huge space at the back, and that maybe was for a motorbike. Now to get on to the point of the 4x4, which is what I wanted to talk about, is that the person who asked the request said he wants to go to Africa, and I said to him, no, you can't go to Africa. Well, you can go to Africa with a camper van like this, but in my opinion, the suspension's going to get shot up in no time at all. Now, I'm well aware there are some pretty good roads in Africa. Morocco's quite noted. I haven't been there either, but I've heard that the roads there are very good. But only last week I saw a program on Deutsche Welle showing the main street in Kinshasa in the Congo, and it's pretty awful. And if that's what the main street is like in the capital city, then I'm pretty certain that those which are not in the main street and out in the middle of nowhere are going to be even worse. So it strikes me that it's not a good idea to go somewhere like Africa using a Fiat Ducato camper van. Now, if something is 4x4, you'd hope it's not just the suspension systems and other things, but they've also taken into account the construction of the furniture and all the rest of it. And I'm certain that if a vehicle such as this, such as a Fiat Ducato camper van, were taken to Africa and then they got all the furniture fell to bits inside and all the rest of it, and as well as the suspension getting shut up, then I suspect that the insurance wouldn't, not just the insurance, but the warranty would say, well, it's your fault, you did it, so it's not covered. It's not just in Africa, of course. I mean, there's plenty of places in Europe. I wanted to go to Ukraine 8 years ago, and I was told you can't just think you're going to get away with taking a spare wheel, and that's going to be it. You need 2 spare wheels at least, and that's if it's in a normal vehicle. So that's where I come on to the subject of 4x4. So 4x4 is not necessarily for off-roading, but I suspect if you're going to somewhere it's a bit out of the off the beaten track, if you're going to Mongolia or something, then you possibly do need the 4x4. Another thing about a 4x4, of course, is that it allows you to drive with more confidence on snow and ice, and that could be anywhere. Personally, I don't like driving on snow and ice at all, and driving in a motorhome or camper van is, of course, much more difficult than being in a car, because it takes much longer to stop the thing. I always had it in my any car I had. I wanted to be able to make sure I could stop really, really fast. And anyway, I've done tests with the van. But you stop really fast, but all the all the drawers sort of fling open, and you've got stuff all over the floor. And that's not just in a self-made one like this, which actually I think is probably even better made than most of the mainline manufacturers, because we had time to sort of think about what we were doing. And but it is, in my opinion, something that one ought to think about. Now, having said that, let's get on to the hard bit about a 4x4, and that is the extra cost. You're looking at least at 10,000 euros extra, and possibly a lot more than that. So that brings me on to the next thing. It's a subject which I often refer to when people say they want to get a new van. I say, well, look, you've got this amount of money, why don't you get a used van instead? Because you'll probably get more for your cash. Now, I'm entering a subject which I'm certainly not qualified to talk about, but there are people I know who do know more about this than I do. So should anybody be interested, I'll put you in contact. If you get a used 4x4, the assumption is that the previous owners were people who really wanted to get out there and use the thing, and it's probably being used for hardcore use. I don't suppose if somebody had a 4x4 camper van, unlike cars, people buy a Range Rover to impress their friends or whatever, and then they just use it to go and pick kids up from school, and that's it. So you can buy a Range Rover from some posh people for a second-hand use, and it hasn't been used hardly at all. But in the case of in the case of a motorhome, I very much doubt that the motorhome was not used for what it was designed for. And then the question is, you're going to have to get it checked. You're going to have to get it checked by a specialist. But I always think it's better to look at a used van rather than a new one. And that is even in the circumstances like today. You've got to wait. If somebody says they're going to deliver a van for you within 12 months, then you got to start asking yourself, why? What's wrong with it? But a used van, you get it, you start playing around with it immediately, and a new one, you're going to have to wait a long time. And my on this channel here on YouTube, something like 95%, and probably more than that, of the vehicles are new. Yes, that's true, and maybe I want to do some more used ones. In fact, I will do as and when I get the opportunity. I also think that there is a good business opportunity there coming along. Somebody who's had the ability to actually go around and do checks on 4x4 vehicles. So anyway, so this was Oliver, who was in Germany, who asked this question, and I tried to sort of persuade him to actually take that course of action rather than buying a new vehicle if he intends to go somewhere like Africa. Now, if he's just going to do what I do, which is knocking around between Poland, Germany, and Italy, then that's reasonably safe. But I'm certain that you know, once I thought, oh, maybe I'll be able to go after Russia and all the rest of it. If I was going after Russia in my own vehicle, I certainly would want a 4x4. I would never even consider going off in a sort of a Fiat Ducato camper van from Adria or something like that. A camper van from Adria, no, because I was supposed to go into Russia and using a Adria van, but that was on the roads, not on the not on the ice. Anyway, good. So quick opinion there. Now, Alan's just asked this very good question. What's it like now for crossing borders in your motorhome at present? And this is very much my opinion now, but I think this, I see on Facebook groups and others, I'm sure, that people are upset. Oh, I've just gone to Spain, there was no problems getting there, and it's all great and sunny where we are now. In my opinion, it is, first of all, it's totally irresponsible to do something like this, because of you know, even if you think you're in a motorhome, you're not having contact with people. You've got to buy food, you've got to buy fuel and things like this. Is it okay to cross the borders within Schengen? Yes, but as I understand it right now in Germany, it's not. And I saw something in the German press. In fact, I wanted to talk about this or do a video on it. I saw within the provincial boundaries. Now, Germany is a federal country, and therefore the laws may be different as it is in the United States. It's federal, and so people actually being stopped trying to get from one state to the other, and that was last week or the week before last. So in view of the coronavirus situation, then I think it is really not a good idea at all. Sorry, but can you do it? Probably can. Yes, I think that's possible. And if you were returned, for example, in Germany, using that as an example, it would be it could well be by the federal authorities from one state to another. Now, other countries which aren't federal, such as, for example, Italy, then yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard of people getting sent back at the border, but when I intended to go to Italy 6 months ago, and when I spoke to a friend in Catania, in Sicily, and he said, no, don't do it. We're not allowed to even go from one comune, from one local area to another. So I think you shouldn't do it, but I understand that you probably can. And another thing is this, though: you might want to go somewhere, then suddenly they don't let you go back. That could happen, and that would be your own fault for going there. And in my opinion, in these circumstances, because you knew it, I mean, if it happened something you couldn't have known about, then it isn't necessarily your fault. So that is the I hope that's the answer to that one. Right, good. So hang on. Jason asks, can you buy an RV in America and tour the country as a European citizen? Yes, you can, but in theory what you're supposed to do is this: if you are touring as a European citizen, you are supposed to put the plates, you're supposed to register the vehicle within the country you are registered in. So if you're a European citizen, you're Portuguese, for example, and you get a vehicle in the United States and you import, and you want to sort of do a tour around, you should import it legally into Portugal first. That will possibly involve the payment, and I don't know what Portuguese law is, I just made that one up. That may involve the payment of import duties. It may not. It may involve the payment of VAT, and it may involve the payment of excise duties. Some countries have excise duties on vehicles and others don't. Things like that are decided by each individual member of the European Union. So, right, so good. And right, so star rights used as... sorry, don't understand what the word is. So, sorry, star, you have to write that one again. And Ola from Ined and Sam Smith. Supman, right, okay, so what that means. All right. And, okay, so Alan says he knew somebody who drove into Sardinia a few days ago, no problem. Well, I think that's quite good, because James Bond in the film... The Spy Who Loved Me drove into Sardinia, and he did have a problem, because if you've seen the film, well, you'll notice as he's driving his car from underwater and onto the beach, he lets the window down and throws a fish out. So if somebody drove into Sardinia, that's must have had one of those cars that James Bond had. Great, right, so anyway, that was largely what I wanted to say on this subject. I will do sorry, I said 4x4 plus crossing borders. As soon as I start moving, I'll start doing Carolyn Monroe. Yes, one of my favourite Bond girls, actually. That she was one of the top 3 as far as I'm concerned. And so I'm going to I'll be doing this. Sorry, I do this every single Saturday at this time, provided I have access to internet. And so that's a so you can always if you've got any questions like that. So Ined writes, in order to be happy, I'd like a lorry. So a lorry and camion, I suppose, if you mean by a van. Oh, sorry, Jason wanted to ask, can you tour America? Sorry, if you buy a European van, can you tour America? Right, okay. The situation in that case is the following. Yes, you can use European vans in the United States, but there are differences with the paperwork. And now, in one respect, for example, bringing American vehicles into Europe, you've got problems in the United States. Got these huge roads, and we've only got tiny roads. So if the vehicle's too big, some people will pay a fortune, import a vehicle, and they can't use it because it's too big. I mean, I know of one case where that actually happened. In the United States, the reasons against doing it is, for example, it is perfectly possible, but the electric system in a van is going to be for 230, not 110. That's the first point, and there are one or two other minor things, but I think the biggest single problem is the electric system. But I mean, lots of people ask me this question, but what you need to do is not so much a motorhoming question, this one, but more of a question of import duties and papers to get your paperwork sorted out. And now the paper what they will look at is, does this match the standards which are applicable in this country? So you can find it. That's why, for example, often it's a case of you cannot import certain things from certain countries because the standards don't actually they don't meet local laws. I don't know, on safety or something like that. In the United States, though, I mean, European laws are in general are usually the higher, the more stringent standards than they are in the United States. In general, not in everything. I mean, somebody might point out one or two things which are more stringent in the United States, but in general, as far as vehicles are concerned, that's the two things, right? So what you're going to have to pay for is the following. You need to pay for the transport to the United States, which you're looking at. A container is approximately $2,000, approximately. Then you're going to need you have to pay there's duty on that, and there's probably sales tax on that as well. Of course, sales tax on everything, and sales tax, as same as value-added tax within the European Union, is paid on the duty and the cost of the vehicle and the transport. So hope that's answered that question. But I'll get answered. I know other people ask me that again. Sorry. So Alan says there's a ferry to Sardinia, different one to the Mersey. Yes, it's not the ferry. The ferry across the Mediterranean isn't the one that goes across the Mersey. The ferry to Sardinia goes from Genoa, and amongst other places. I think there's one from Portofino. Yes, there is one from Portofino as well. So and I'm sure there's probably a couple of other places as well. Sardinia to me seems like a really good place to be. I haven't seen him for ages, but I had a friend. He was a police officer in the southern part of Italy, but he got sent off to Sardinia for 3 years. And I mean, he was saying how great it was. And in fact, me out to his home for a meal, and his wife was talking about how wonderful it was. Oh, the photographs came out, but it seems to be really, really wonderful. I was actually I was asked, theoretically speaking, this was about 17, 18 years ago, if I wanted to get involved in hotel development there, and I thought, oh yeah, that sounds quite good, yeah, I'll do that. But anyway, it never came off. Right. Right, do I live full-time in my motorhome? Yes, I do. This is my home. I live in this all the time, and so absolutely love your videos. Thank you, Rodney. That's very nice to hear. How do you find local people reacting to me living full-time motorhome? I decided to sleep overnight. I've spent three months traveling the east coast of Oz. Right. I have never come across people. Sorry, the only time I ever came across anybody who was negative was in front of my own house. I did a video of this some time ago. This in front of my house, there's this sort of this like it says parking spot anyway, but there was these shops there, but they've all become sort of derelict and nobody bothers with them any longer, and except for one, which is a charity shop. Anyway, so I was outside my own house, and this woman actually threatened to report me to the council, but she didn't tell me. She told somebody else. She told one of the people who worked there, and then passed the word on to a friend of mine who told me. And anyway, I was so I went to see her. I thought, as it's a charity shop, I thought she's probably working free of charge. So I went. I'll try to be nice to her about it. So but that's the only negative thing. When other times I've had it, I mean, people have been quite sympathetic and sorry, I mean sympathetic. I don't mean that English language sense of the word. I mean, but very pleasant to me. I've never had anyone be negative, and it depends on where I am. Often they're quite curious as well. So I mean, for example, in Poland and Czechia, I've had people who really are quite curious. Particularly, go places if I'm sort of in the middle of nowhere and I can speak their language, I find that quite, and usually they've always been quite willing to talk to me. I heard stories like how bad it was in Italy, I don't really want motorhomes there, they'll move you on. That has never happened to me. When I park, there's been people around, they've been quite nice. I've had people bring me food. I think I don't know why they do that. Probably think I can't cook or something. And so yeah, I mean, even where I am now, I had people bring me food. So it's not a negative. I've never been. Now in Oz, I presumed it would be the same because Australians are noted for their outdoor life and how much they enjoy being in contact with nature. I don't know. That would be curious. Right. So how do you find local? Sorry. Rodney asks, in my opinion, what is the best 6-meter camper van on the market to live most in Europe and UK and Europe? Rodney, the best camper van you can buy is the one which is available. Because in the current circumstances, what I would do now is if I would say, well, look, I need this is the layout I need, and then with this layout, then what is available. So if it were, for example, for argument's sake, if it was Hymer or if it was Carthago or something like that, then that would be less important. I can't say which one's best. There are companies which I think are quite reliable and others that don't. I mean, there's people who, so you basically it's either Fiat Ducato or Mercedes Sprinter, and the people like Sprinters, and I think there's one or two people, I think Ducato's okay. A lot of people say bad things about them, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them. And my experience and being practical, I really just don't see anything wrong. So as far as Europe's concerned, it depends what you're going to do with it, but I mean, you know, you can get there's service for Fiat and for Mercedes, or if you get something, you know, other Peugeot, Iveco, or whatever, you get service all over the place. So it's not I don't really think. I mean, it depends on more on what you actually want. But there's one problem. Not it's not necessarily a problem. So I met somebody, this woman, and then she sort of mentioned to me only. A couple of days ago, but not wanting to travel around in my motorhome. And I thought, well, if I sort of got more seriously involved in her, then I might have to upgrade my motorhome. And then I start thinking, how much is one of them Morellos going to cost? It'll be a fortune. Where am I going to find that kind of money? I mean, assuming she puts the chips in half. But anyway, I don't know if anything will come of that. So, but that's something which had concern. Had gone into my mind. Of course, it would be a used vehicle, not a new one, unless there were some reasons why I had to get tax reasons or whatever, you know, for the writing it off, why I had to buy a new vehicle. Anyway, I didn't answer the question, I know, but I mean that's the best that's really the best I can do. Right, so John says he's ridden bicycle trips in South Dakota, where a man also participated from Belgium. So he brought his motorhome with him, and it was a Citroen. Well done. Our friends in Berlin, they have a I forgot what their van is. I have to film it. Oh, I've been inside of. Yeah, I can't remember what the base. I can't remember what the base is now. I think it's Mercedes, but I can't remember what Mercedes. But anyway, they go to the United States all the time, and so they're in it. But the thing is, it's still on German number plates, though. So yeah, I mean, I don't think if I went to the United States, I don't think I would take my own vehicle, because I mean, the cost of the transport would be like same value as the vehicle, just about. That's just a little joke there, but it wouldn't be much more. And but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really do want to do a tour around the United States. Maybe I would look at that. See. Anyway, good. And right. Have I ever been broken into? Yes. Does security concern me? Security is always a concern. I mean, this is a problem. I know. The thing is, you put systems in, but the characters who break in are the professional thief. You can't. There's next to nothing you can do against the ones you defend yourself against are those which are the incidental thieves. So those are just trying to get the next fix of alcohol or whatever they pump into the body. Security. I mean, the last time I had something that happened in Warsaw in 2018. It was about 5:30 in the morning. It was November, but the dog had a go at them, so I didn't have a go at them. Sorry, she didn't bark, but that was it really. And the thing was, I saw him running off, so he can't have been too drunk. But anyway, so there's that expect. Right, great stuff. Rodney says cheaper option than VW California. Yeah, I mean, you buy a VW California is great if you're sort of a surfer wanting to make videos about how super van life is, and then you go off and live in a hotel or something. A VW California is not a practical option. These things cost around 80,000 or 70,000. I think it's about the cheapest euros. For that type of money, you can get a motorhome with a toilet and a shower. I mean, the last question about security, but if you're in a VW California, can you imagine what the security is going to be like in there? To me, it got me started. I mean, I've got videos with me in the VW T4 1992 Carthago Malibu. But I had at least I could stand up inside the thing. You can't even stand up in these things. I lived in a block of flats. We had an underground car park, and yeah, I can understand. Yeah, so you need, I mean, you get the pop tent, put the pop tent up so you can stand up. But these things, you know, a tent in winter. Can you imagine that? I mean, what have happened now? I mean, that diesel would be that Webasto would be on non-stop. Having said that, I know people who go away in winter in space camper vans, which are very similar to the VW California, only they're a lot cheaper. So anyway, there's my opinion on the VW. Sorry, I'll just have a look. So Alan mentions that, hey, it'd be great if Caroline Munro coming round. Yes, yes, I wouldn't mind her coming around. But on the subject, actually, I did write to one of the James Bond girls only last week. She didn't write back to me. This is from the past, by the way, not because I'm not really interested in the current ones. Anyway, right. So John says he's amazed at how campervans, boats in short supply in the US. It's not just in the US; they're in the short supply here. Yeah, they can't. Okay, I've mentioned in the past the problems manufacturing them, but because of what's happened, the second-hand prices have shot up. And not a surprise, supply and demand. That is capitalism. That's how the system works. That's I believe in capitalism. I have seen the other system. I've seen how communism works. And in communism, you wouldn't get one even in good times. So that is the way the system works. So there. Right. Bill says he did 13,000. Oh, sorry. Before I get that one. Rodney said, I looked at the company like for living in winter. Well, I've just spent a winter in Poland in the van. It was minus 22. You can see the video. I've got the proof with all the icicles hanging on the outside of the van. You can see now, look, I'm in a t-shirt and there's no heating on. And it snowed 2 days ago, but tomorrow it's going to be 19. In Europe, same as the United States, you go to California, Florida, or Texas or something. And here, okay, if you're in the van in winter, go to Spain, Greece. The south of both countries, because they're both pretty mountainous actually, so they're pretty cold. But you don't really want to be in Poland. I wouldn't have been in Poland if I hadn't actually got stuck here. But anyway, it hasn't been a problem. I've been in this place now where I'm at now 5 months. But I used the time well. I did all sorts of things, and so I'm not. I mean, it's been okay. I mean. It's not bad. It hasn't been bad at all. So I haven't. No problem there. Sorry, what's the Polish company in Gdansk like? So that's a question from Rodney. And there's a company called Balkamp who make. Yeah, they do very nice vehicles. Inside the insides are indeed very nice. So and I haven't. I mean, obviously I know them personally, so I say anything bad. It's not like saying something bad about one of these bigger companies. So, even if I do know the bosses personally in these, but I mean, there's lots of people sort of say that this company is quite good. So the company Balkamp for conversions. I don't know what the waiting times like. I haven't spoken to them now for some time, but I'd be extremely surprised if they could do a vehicle in less than a year and a half. Very surprised. So Bill says he did 13,000 kilometers in a Subaru Outback with a rooftop tent, Sydney to Cairns, Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney. Most of the time we had a good response. Oh, well, that's great. Actually, I just found that one of my relatives in Australia, I found that yesterday, my sister told me, that has died. And anyway, so it just sort of came in my mind, which was he was into sort of genealogy as well. So I had these questions to ask him, but anyway, that just goes to show your relatives, you have to sort of take care of them whilst they're still around. Anyway, right, if I consider putting a doggy door in my RV, no, and I wouldn't do it. That would just be silly, particularly for the big dog. I would putting a cat flap in. I've seen people have put cat flaps. It's making it more difficult, and I've got my doubts about keeping cats in vans anyway. I think it's really it's a risky situation. Cats are it's not like dogs are with the owner. but they sort of they bond with their owners, where cats will just want to wander, and I can just see cats getting lost. Not that I've heard that. I mean, somebody might know more. No, right. So Rodney says he appreciates my help, but I'm quite happy to actually talk about these things. Not only that, if you actually do something like this, other people have the same ideas or ask the same questions. It's that becomes more difficult. Anyway, so here, Rodney was impressed by this Swedish company that make vehicles for winter use. There's this company in Sweden called Kabe, which do vehicles. Actually, I saw something this morning where they were claiming, was it -50 or something? To be quite honest, I don't believe that. But so I looked at this, my own van. You can buy, it doesn't matter how good the insulation is inside, right? You're going to have to cover, somehow you're going to have to cover the glass, right? You've got to look out of the van when it's in motion, and so you've got to cover that, and there's no way you can get you've got fixed insulation within the walls. Yeah, sure, you can cover that, you can do that for whatever you can do, but on the glass, I just can't see how that would work. Anyway, yeah, but I mean, if I can get mine, my Mercedes, when I ever get around to doing it, well, I hope so. I will get around to doing it because I've actually bought all the stuff for it. But yeah. So Brighton writes, bicycles take up a lot more space than you think. However, you can get bicycles now reduced in size and offer performance just as good as traditional diamond framed bicycles. Yes, I had I went out I was in Holland last year, in the Netherlands, 2 years ago now, and they gave me this sort of electric bike to sort of knock around in, and yeah, the performance was quite good, but for me, I know now you can get these sort of proper sized bicycles. I mean, I want a proper set of gears, and I want a big wheel. I mean, little wheel is to me just a lot of pedaling, and you don't seem to. Okay, it's functional, might get you from A to B, but it's not quite the same, and it takes a lot more effort. And so yeah, but certainly you can strip the bicycle down. The problem with stripping things down is, though, that often you might think, oh, I want to fancy going, and you got to put it together again, and you never get it right. You never get it just as well as it was before you stripped it. Anyway, so I'm now in Poland. I'm in central Poland, in a place called Ozorków. If you find it on a map, it's north of Łódź. That's written LODZ, Lodz. And I'm there. And so, what deposit, Rodney asked, would companies want if waiting for a van? Yes, that is a very good question, and I don't know what the answer is. The thing is, with the law now on deposits, is such that a deposit has really sort of lost its value. In my opinion, a deposit to be a deposit is non-returnable. And there was something where I paid a deposit on something, and then I backed out the deal. Admittedly, it was due to a faulty description, but I let them keep it because I thought, right, well, I'm backing out. The thing about non-returnable deposits, I believe, are not allowed. So anyway, so what would a van? I would expect if you wanted to buy something like that, you'd have to put a couple of thousand down, or whatever currency your local currency is. Yeah, this is I'm sorry I can't answer that question. I think you depend on the retailer. So I don't know. What I can do is, because I worked in real estate development, I can sort of talk a little bit about the costs of buying a van and how that is actually financed. The finance solutions are still quite not very well developed. I think there's a lot of scope there for development of them, particularly within this business, and particularly for people who are looking at this, doing this on a longer term basis. But anyway, I think that's going off a bit off the scope of this vehicle. Is it realistic to have a portable toilet that doesn't smell? Is there a particularly good system if one is a bit squiffy about portaloos? Asks Richard. I don't know the answer to that question. I am sorry if somebody else knows the answer to that question. What I'll do is I'll do a video on one next time I see one and ask that question. The one question I did get once in the past, though, it was about the smell from the what do you call it? The detergents that we put into the toilet. And I've got some down here. Oh, here I've got something down here. I have to get up and do it. So you have to believe that I'm actually getting it up. So here I've got something here, which is this here. So this is a toilet cleaner, and now this one here, for example, Ambiti, was developed. I mean, the person who developed it in Spain told me that what he did was he got this one specially. He did it so it would have a pleasant smell. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a problem with the smell of the Thetford or the Dometic. I quite like the smell, but I know there's people who find the smell totally disgusting. And so anyway, so he developed this as a way of having a more pleasant perfume smell. It's currently closed, but the reason it's currently closed is actually he gave it to me some time ago. But I thought I'd have to do a video on it, and on the smell. On the perfume or whatever you want to call it, the fragrance from the toilet. So I don't know, sorry. There is difference the way some of them work. The green ones don't work as well, but they are better for the environment. There's products such as a company called Solbio, which is from Belgium, and I've got some of their stuff as well. I'll have to do a video on that. Sorry, don't know how to stop the. I don't know how to stop the smell. Any case, most of these things, anything that often it smells, and you put stuff on, you put antiperspirant on your body, for example, it doesn't actually stop you perspiring. Because if it did, we could probably kill you. Well, maybe not kill you, but it'll make you ill. What it does, it disguises the smell, and that's largely. So it's only one thing of, well, just can you disguise it with something else? Right, is what length of my vehicle? 7 meters long. It is comfortable to live in all the year. Yeah, it is for me. I mean, if it was two of us all the time, that might be a bit awkward, but it depends. I mean, the thing is like this: if you're with someone, it depends how well, how much you want to be with them. I think I can imagine that, you know, when you do, in the times I've been with somebody for you know, some time, it just tends to get a little you sort of do get in each other's way a bit, but yeah, it depends. Just depends on the. I think that really very much. I mean, for one person, it's great, and I mean, there's no. But I know people travel around in things like 5.5 meter vans as a couple. And thing is this, at the end of the day, I mean, if the two you want to do separate things, I mean, somebody can go in the back and lie on the bed and watch one channel on the television or on the mobile phone, and the second one can just sit at the table and watch it. So you know, it just works both. And these days you can get these internet things, which would make a little Wi-Fi in your van. So anyway, yeah, I think 7 meters is ideal. Yeah. Sorry, just with the questions here. Right. So what motorways do I use when I'm in Poland? I cross the border always at the same place because I happen to like this place, and I'll go out my way to go to this one, which is at Zgorzelec, and that's the Polish A4, which goes to Wrocław, and then I normally take them from there to head in the direction of Warsaw. But if I'm supposed to be moving my base down southern Poland, sorry, and so then I would head towards Katowice, Kraków, and eventually to Lviv in Ukraine. And so, okay, Rodney asked, would a customer have to pay 18 months for a deposit? You didn't have to wait 18 months. Yes, I would say so. As a business person, I would want a deposit. I wouldn't take somebody coming filling in a form and saying that's enough. I would want a deposit. That's me. Other people may be different. How much deposit would they have to pay? I don't know the answer to that one. Sorry. Right. So John says he's got a folding bike with 20-inch wheels and 8 very well spaced gears. Oh. It's quite satisfactory to ride miles. However, I would consider riding on a long 60 miles or more. Well, it's only when you do 60 miles on a bike. 60 miles is how much? 90 kilometers. I think that's pretty good. My all-time record was 85 miles, but then I was 17 years old at the time. So that was like, ooh, 4 or 5 years ago now. So what distance do I usually ride? Yeah, I'll do about maybe 40 kilometers. So I don't really do much more than that. I thought if I got myself an electric one though, I could do 40 kilometers one way and then I get assistance for the 40 kilometers coming back. So that would be easy. That's why I want to get in an electric bike. Can I recommend certain companies have their own in-house system for customers to buy a new vehicle from in order with banks or finance who deal with them? No, I can't. Sorry. Look, if you go to a company such as, I don't know, Hymer, LMC or whoever, well, sorry, LMC is part of Hymer or Carthago, or if they, I don't even Carthago even have it, but if you go to an in-house thing, that they will normally charge more. Or the thing is with financing, anyway, is with financial products, people make money on the side things. So you may only be paying a couple of points over, well, you wouldn't pay a couple of points over base in the van, but you may only be paying like 3.5 points over base on a motorhome. You think, oh, that's cheap. But because they insist that you could buy this insurance and this type of thing, then the price starts going up. The thing is this though, if you don't buy it as one package, it could then start getting expensive, buying one from there, one from there, and one from there. As far as finance is concerned, I cannot say. I don't feel as competent. Not only that, within each jurisdiction, it's different, and it's not in the European Union is not it's not a federal country or something like that. In every state within the European Union is different, and as it is within the United Kingdom. United Kingdom's quite more liberal on financial things as a rule. But unfortunately, I cannot make any suggestions as to how to finance it at all. I mean, I can make suggestions, opinions. Sorry, I make opinions on how I think the law should change, but I cannot make suggestions on which company to actually purchase with. I mean, I would, if you do have a relationship, if you're a business person, have a relationship with a bank. For business, I would certainly say about putting this down as a company, and then the bank might actually finance it. But for a private individual, that's much more difficult. In fact, there is somebody who comes onto my site. His name is Brian, and he comes on most of my premieres. And he actually bought a van. I'll have to ask him if he actually bought it on this company or he did it. He has a insulation business, and so I'll have to ask him if he actually bought it on the company or himself. And okay, so Richard says that he eventually gave an answer to the question that he had. Right, cheers. That's coffee. Right, so I think I've just about answered everything there. Well, I have answered everything, I think, because I just went down the list. If I missed anything out, then you can ask again some other date. So thanks very much for watching. This evening there is a video at the usual time, 9:15 my time, 8:15 in the UK, and whatever it is in other places. Thanks, Richard. Which is a cheap van. It's a cheap van from a Palmovsky called the XGO. I can't remember which one it is now. XGO 8000, I think it is. But these vans now, cheap vans, cheap motorhomes. People asking what the best cheap van to buy. Cheap is an adjective. An adjective is I studied linguistics, so I don't know. An adjective doesn't really describe something very well. It only describes things in a comparative manner. This is a brown dog. You don't know how brown it is, and the word cheap, you don't know how cheap it is. So it's only comparative. So there's no such thing as a cheap motorhome unless you've got a stack of cash. And if you have a stack of cash, you might want to buy a cheap motorhome. But if you haven't got a stack of cash, you don't want a cheap motorhome, because cheap things invariably end up costing you more. As a very good expression in Russian, I'm going to say it in English now. I'm not so wealthy that I can afford to buy cheap things. So, well, anyway, so hello to Lukasz and Alan and Annie and everybody, John and Rodney and Alan and Richard and everyone else who made a comment today. And okay, every night at the same time. So I'm doing tonight's video. The dog, sorry, no, I've got a shorts video. I do these shorts videos with the telephone up like this, which is a bit daft, but I did it because YouTube sort of started. I'd give it a go, see if it works, if anybody likes it. But everybody says, "Oh, you ought to do it," but well, I've done it now, and the dog's done it, and so then when I run out, though, I don't think the dog will do anymore. And I've got the dog doing a video on Monday, so she's done quite a few. So thanks very much. That's the longest. I think it's the longest time I've actually done a live broadcast, and I'm glad to say that actually I bought a. It's not in buy. It's at the beginning of my financial month for my internet, so the internet is on full speed and it's held up quite well. So my financial month starts on the 8th when my new internet comes in. So thanks. Oh, brightness, very good point here. Financial. I think secondhand's better than cheap because there's less depreciation. Yes. But there's less depreciation on motorhomes in general than there is on motor cars. In the United Kingdom, the depreciation on motor cars is really quite severe, although it's not as bad as it was, say, 15 years ago, before the 2008 financial crisis. Thanks very much for listening. All the best. Same time next week. Thanks for being here. All the best. Bye.